Hey, what is up guys? So we are going to be talking about the banned players list, which was just updated recently. Now if you guys don't know what the banned player list is, that this new one that just came out, updated and let you guys know who is actually banned from these Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments. Now in addition to that, I don't want to just show off the entire list of the people that are banned, but I want to talk more about what actually can get you banned from these Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, because when you get banned, sometimes it's a few months, but look at this guys. This guy is banned until October of 2023. That's a long time to be banned. That's 7 years, and of course it was for cheating. 99% of these things that get people banned are for cheating. Now some of the things you guys might be thinking, oh, I'm never gonna have that happen to me, but there's a lot of other rules that you guys might not know about that can actually get you banned. A lot of stuff can be minor, but you know, depending on how many times you do some of these minor things, it can actually get you banned. Now I will link the full list down below if you guys want to actually check out, if you want to find out if your friend is banned. Or a lot of these players, guys, keep in mind that these guys are winning tournaments too, and a lot of times it comes down to them cheating and then they get caught, and their rewards are not essentially taken back, because obviously if they give someone like a reward and they get caught cheating later down the line, they're not going to be, hey, that iPad you want, you got to give it back to us. But yeah, there's a lot of people that have been winning huge tournaments that are actually on this list, and you can see this list is a pretty big list. But there's a lot of small things, and the first small thing that I want to talk about comes from the deck list. Any of you guys that have been to like an official tournament, they have these deck lists, and if you write something incorrect, you can get a game loss, you can get disqualified just for this list, which is kind of lame. And I know a lot of times it's not intentional. No one actually will intentionally write the wrong card. Or they write like a bottomless, they won't write bottomless trap hole, they'll just put bottomless. Now there's a lot of other cards that are bottomless. You can get disqualified for it. I know it's kind of dumb, but depending on how severe it is, you can actually get banned, and your name could essentially be on this list. I know it's a very small thing, but anyways, let's go ahead and check out some duels while I talk about what can actually get you banned, so you guys can have something to watch. But again, some of these things, they're very small things that you wouldn't even think of. Okay, well, our DevPro can just crash. That totally works. But there's a lot of other things, again, that a lot of people will be like, oh, I'm not going to get banned for this. So there's some small things. For example, like if you summon a monster and you're like, wait, I want to take it back. That could be something that can actually get you for a minor warning. Now, there's a lot of different infractions in Yu-Gi-Oh! I'll link some down below via the wiki, so you guys can see some of these things. But there's a lot of other crazier things. I know that some of the people that have won YCS as heck, it's caught on video where they summon additional times, or they attempt to summon additional times. But that can actually cause you to get, again, banned, or you can have some warning. And then again, if you keep on doing these things, you can get a game loss. And a game loss would mean that you lose the game, and sometimes you can get even a match loss, so that's even bigger. But just want to go over some of the smaller things. So if you accidentally change the order of the graveyard, some of you guys might be like, oh, I want a soul charge. I'm going to go ahead and look at my graveyard. I want to get this card, and oh, I changed my mind on this card. If you mess up that order, you could get a game loss, and that is because there are cards like Question, which you have to have the card in a certain order in order for the card to effectively be, usable. So yeah, again, it's like some of those random cards. I don't know why DevPro keeps crashing. And we need Konami. Where's our official Yu-Gi-Oh game? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me go to random spectate again. But again, there's just a lot of crazier things that can happen in the game. Now, like I said, some of those things you're just unaware of. Like again, you're trying to soul charge, you want to select the targets, and then you maybe change the order of the graveyard from that. Another thing is that if you don't fully reveal a card that was retrieved from the deck. So if I summon like a gadget and I'm searching another gadget and I'm like, okay, add this card to my hand, but I don't show my opponent and I just add the card to my hand, my opponent can be like, well, I want to make sure that that's the card. And maybe you already have that card that you were supposed to add. Maybe you have that in your hand, but you searched out like another card. So you have to reveal fully, the card that you're adding. If you activate Reinforced with the Army, you have to show that you're adding a warrior. Or you have to show the card that you're adding, essentially. And again, if you add the card too quickly and your opponent's like, well, I didn't get to see it, or you just didn't show it to them, that can cause you to have a game loss or even a match loss. Again, it all depends on the judge and, how they see it. And usually it comes down to, was it intentionally a malicious thing that they've done? Another thing is if you shuffle your hand into the deck and then draw another 5 cards in the very beginning of the duel. I've seen this happen a lot of times where people will roll the dice. They'll be like, you know, I'll draw 5 cards, and then they'll shuffle their hand and be like, wait, who you want to go first? They look at their hand, and if they don't like their hand, they'll just go ahead and try to like brush it off like they were just like, you know, looking through cards. But that happens more than often. Yeah, that is something you got to keep in mind. And then in addition to that, this one's kind of crazy over here. It's a match loss. If you spill water on your deck and it damages the card, which makes it impossible to finish the match. Like, yeah, that seems crazy, but, you know, some people will do some crazy things to win, you know, this children's card game, because, you know, the prizes aren't, you know, the best, but, you know, people just want to have that fame, that, I guess, attention that they won the YCS or something like that. Another small thing that, like, you know, does happen, sometimes you don't hear that the next round is starting. You're trading with your friends in a Yu-Gi-Oh event, and if you are late to the duel, you can get a game loss, you can get a match loss, you can even get disqualified. Again, it all depends on the judge that is working there. So keep in mind, it's just good to just be on time. Make sure you're in range of the speaker that's going off, because a lot of times these Yu-Gi-Oh events, they're very loud. Sometimes you go outside and get something to eat. Make sure you can hear that if you want to play in the tournament, because again, you could get a game loss. Now, most of the time when you're tardy, you're just going to lose the game, you're going to lose the match. They won't ban you, but again, it's technically possible if you keep on doing this. They're like, dude, this guy keeps on like never showing up. It's messing up the seeding, because keep in mind, guys, not only are you, you know, losing out on yourself, like winning the duel, but it also messes up the other person playing, because it can mess up the seeding. Because, you know, if a certain player ranks higher and you are beating them, you get a higher seed, so to speak, in a lot of these different tournaments. And it does mess up the other person, and it messes up their tiebreakers too, if that happens to be a thing. So, like, you not showing up could prevent someone from actually topping an event. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just how this, like, works. But yeah, you can get banned technically for not showing up, because, like I said, it does screw up the other person. Now, for another example of something that's not intentional, like, let's say that you put your extra deck and your main deck, you know, in the same box. And what can happen sometimes is you grab your deck and you don't grab all the cards. Maybe one card gets stuck to your extra deck. And so you notice later when you're looking through your extra deck, you have a card in there. And then therefore you're running a 39 card deck. Now again, this is stuff that's not intentional, but you can get banned for it. So just make sure that you know, have all of your cards ready to go when the duel starts and you have 40. A lot of times you'll see people counting, or they'll pile shuffle just to make sure. They'll put in like piles of like 10s, and then they'll make sure that they have 10 in each little pile, so, you know, 40 cards. It makes it kind of easier for them. And again, this is just to prevent some of the cards from sticking to each other. I know sometimes you get moisture, your hands get clammy, sweaty, mom's spaghetti. Yeah, like, if your cards get stuck to each other, that does happen. It really does. And sometimes when you draw a card from your deck, if the cards stick to each other, and, like, you know, you go for a draw phase, you accidentally draw 2 cards, you can get a game loss, you can get a match loss, you can get banned. Again, it's sometimes you don't intentionally try to do these things, but it just kind of happens. And, you know, through playing the game, it's not like, oh, dang. I don't know why. I like how DevPro keeps on crashing. Like, why, man? Why? What the heck? I wonder, again, what's causing that. But obviously not intentional. But we're here to talk mostly about this. That one didn't even give it a chance. But, okay, so if you register an illegal card, like if I write that I'm playing Pot of Greed on my Konami, like, list of the cards, is this like broken now? Oh, okay, let's go to random spectate. That can also cause you to actually get a game loss. Oh, they're just playing the new stuff, the new Magician Girl stuff, probably. But, like, for example, if you play Chaos Emperor Dragon, I believe it's still banned on the TCG. If you write that you're playing that card, but you're really not, like, you're pranking the list, then yeah, you could get in trouble for that as well, but that's not really going to happen more than often. Like, obviously, if you're marking cards, like you are, you know, marking the cards. I actually did a video on this a long time ago, where basically you can get a Sharpie, you put a dot at the end of the card, and basically when you have it stacked up, you can see where that card is. Obviously, like, I don't think we need to go over that. That's obviously cheating. Now, as far as marked cards go, there's another thing. If a card is damaged, like it's bent, like maybe you didn't intentionally, you know, try to cheat with a marked card, you just, you know, couldn't afford a card, and you know there's someone had a damaged card, like it was bent in half or something, and you picked it up for like half the price. That's not tournament legal majority of the time. You can always ask the person that is running the event, hey, is this card okay at the event? It's just got a small little ding over here. Most of the time, if it's really, really tiny, then they won't call you out on it. But if the card is bent in half, like, you gotta be a little bit reasonable here. I know that some of these Yu-Gi-Oh cards are expensive, but that is something you're just gonna have to take into consideration. Obviously, you can't use fake cards. That's just irrelevant, but yeah, you can get banned for that. There's another thing called slow play, and this one's kind of dumb in my personal opinion, because sometimes you need to think through your play, and someone can call you out for slow play. And slow playing is like when I activate Reinforcement Army, I'm taking a long time to search for my card. Now, sometimes, again, you have to think through these extensive combos, and like, you know, you need a Rhoda for Doppel War, you're going to go ahead and summon Junction card and special summon another card. Like, you want to make sure you can go for game, but your opponent can call you out on slow playing. And again, I really hate this mechanic, because sometimes a player just needs to think. Like, heck, dude, thinking in Yu-Gi-Oh should be a thing, but majority of these decks these days are just, like, so straightforward. Just, like, summon a bunch of monsters, attack for game. You have Warning, oh, well, I lose. You have Vandy's, I lose. But, again, sometimes be a little bit generous. If the person takes, like, a minute to think through their move, then yeah. But if they're taking half an hour, it is a little bit unreasonable. Like, people, I'm not even kidding. Sometimes in these tournaments, people will take half an hour to activate like a card that just searches out like one dark monster, or like it's just like one specific monster, and it's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, sometimes people just get nervous, and that's just part of, you know, any tournament. People do get nervous over certain things, so I don't know. Like, I just think it's dumb that sometimes people will call you out on slow playing, even though you're thinking through for like 1 minute, and it comes down to kind of like rule sharking and just being like a very, I don't know what to say, like, it's just a very unsporty player. I don't know what else to say. Now, these are other strange things that you can get warnings for, and again, you can't get game losses for these. These are pretty strange things, but if you leave trash on the table, or if you eat or drink at a match, that can actually get you in trouble too. I know you're thinking like, this is crazy, but these are the rules, guys, not my rules. These are just things listed. You obviously can't trash talk the opponent there. I know if it's your friend, like, you know, you're obviously having fun. I don't think that's really gonna matter. But if you like start, you know, swearing and like cursing really loud, that can get you banned. And I know that's kind of dumb, but at the same time, that's just part of the game. If you don't like it, you go Hearthstone, I guess. Like Hearthstone, I don't even think you can chat to your opponent there. But yeah, you can't use any profanity, you can't use any racial slur, you can't throw a chair at your opponent. Well, dang, dude, you know, I thought that was part of the game. Like, obviously that one is relevant, but I think it's dumb if you trash talk someone, that you can get banned. I mean, obviously you can't swear. I mean, they try to keep it kid-friendly. I mean, I guess that works with YouTube. YouTube now is going to be kid-friendly too. And oh, look at DevPro crashing 69 times in a row. You can't physically hurt the player. I think that's reasonable. You can't steal cards. I know some of you guys are like, of course, but you know, some people think that, like, you know, what they do outside, like, even if, like, okay, if you steal during the tournament itself, not even like the duel, I mean, I know that sometimes what happens is it's not even intentional. Like, if you Monster Reborn or use a card that brings back your opponent's monster from the graveyard, sometimes you accidentally shuffle it in your deck. You know, obviously things like that are accident. You don't intentionally try to steal their cards. Or if you have the same sleeves, you know, sometimes things happen. And again, just keep that in mind, that you can get disqualified for that, so it's kind of your job as well. You also cannot offer your opponent cash for winning or losing, essentially. Be like, hey dude, to give you 20 bucks, I'll quit the game. Like, you can't split prize pools, which is kind of strange. I understand you can't pay someone to be like, hey dude, I'll give you $100 if you scoop up the cards, because, you know, the prize pool, like, if the prize pool might not even be worth it in that tournament. You know, a regionals top is, you know, you get a mat and maybe a few booster packs sometimes. You used to get these binders. I actually had one of them. I wish I had the binder still. I traded it off a long time ago. But they had these, like, monster, like, binders. They weren't even as good as monster binders. But, like, I know that those sold for, like, 50 bucks-ish. So if someone was like, hey, dude, I'll give you $100, logically, that's a good deal. But you can't actually do that. Now, as far as splitting prizes, I think it should be allowed. Like, let's say, like, the prize is, you know, like a booster box, okay? If you are in the finals and you say, hey, regardless of what happens, let's go ahead and split the prize, the booster box. Now, that can affect how people play the game, But in the end, I don't see anything wrong with splitting. I do see it wrong if, you know, you're bribing the person to win. But if you're like, hey, no matter what happens, let's split the prize, I just don't see a problem with that. Like, I mean, you still obviously want to win so you can have the name there, but again, that's just not according to the guidelines that can get you banned for that. You also can't rip up the match slip. That's pretty relevant, but I think most of the stuff is really evident. Like if you do something terrible, like, you know, you throw a chair. I mean, it's strange that they're so specific about that. But also, one thing that is actually relevant, you cannot be drunk or high and go play Yu-Gi-Oh! At an official tournament. You will get disqualified, and that will be severe. You can get banned for several years if you actually go to the tournament high or drunk or under the influence of something. Now, as far as, like, I don't know. You know what? You guys let me know how you feel about that, because, I mean, personally for me, like, if the person is, some people need it to function, like, alright, you know what? You guys just let me know how you guys feel about that. But, like, I just feel like, you know what? Some people need it for medical purpose. I wonder if that can, I don't know. You know what? You guys let me know how you feel about that. Because, like, you know, I could see both sides on it, so I don't want to argue towards one side. But as far as eating or drinking, like, that, I mean, to me, that's kind of dumb. Like, if I go drink some water and I get disqualified for it, I don't think that they are that severe, but they just list it there because they don't want any potential. I mean, obviously, if you have, like, a can of soda or something like that and it spills on the table, you know, they don't really want to be responsible for that. They just want to prevent that stuff from happening. I know I've drank water at a tournament, like, I had a bottle of water, and during the match, I drank it. I never had any problems with that, but it is listed as a rule, so, I mean, that's, yeah. Oh, another thing, okay, this is something really stupid. Okay, I think this is really dumb. You can actually get banned and in trouble if you make an unfair trade with a player. Like, if I was to say, hey, dude, I wish I had a Yu-Gi-Oh card. If I was to be like, hey, dude, I will trade my secret rare tour guide for your Blue Eyes White Dragon, I don't understand how it's that person's fault. Like, why is that person getting in trouble if they make an unfair trade? Because the card's value is pretty much determined by the secondary market anyways. I just think it's dumb. That you can get in trouble for that, because that happens every single time that you go to a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. You see, you know, kids that, you know, they pull these secret rare cards, they like Pot of Desires, and they're like, I just want Dark Magician, and, you know, if you trade them that Dark Magician for their Pot of Desires, you can get banned. That is dumb. I don't think that that is something that deserves a ban. Yes, it's unfair, but at the end of the day, if the person's happy that gets the card and you're happy, I mean, heck, vendors themselves will do trades like that all the time, and they're okay with that. Like, Konami's okay with a vendor giving you like 25 cents for your secret rare card, and then they sell for $100. But, you know, a little kid trading, you know, to get like their Dark Magician card that they're happy with, you can get in trouble for that. And I know at the end of the day it is wrong for this to happen, but I don't think that you should be banned from Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments if you trade with someone. Like, what are they gonna, how are they gonna monitor this? I don't think that they really monitor this anyways, but it is listed, so, I mean, I'm just trying to give you guys information. And pretty much, that's the stuff that I wanted to cover. There's also, as far as the side deck, you have 3 minutes, apparently. I've never really had problems with that. I mean, you should know what you need a side deck inside, side out, and get ready to use in the game. But, yeah, that just said, that is something that you're going to have to take into consideration of all these things. Like I said, I'll list it down below. There's a lot of small things, but, like, for example, like, obviously you can't accidentally knock down your deck. Like, if I knew that in the next card I was going to draw, like, if I activate Plague Spreader's effect, top deck a card with Plague Spreader, and then I don't want to draw that next turn, and I accidentally knock my deck off the table. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. Let me go ahead and, like, change the next card. That, obviously, you know, those kind of things you deserve to, I feel like that deserves to be getting a disqualification. I mean, accidents happen, I understand, but, you know, that could be seen as something where something's intentionally trying to, you know, you're trying to manipulate the game. And again, some of the smaller stuff, like, for example, when you look through your graveyard, you move out the order, that happens all the time. I see that with Soul Charge. When they go Soul Charge, they look through their graveyard and they're like, okay, I don't really want this monster. And then they change the order of it. You can't do that, but I just wanted to warn you guys and let you guys know. But man, that was a really long vid, but there were so many things to cover. So hopefully this helps you guys out. Whether you are a person that wants to go to some of these tournaments in the future, you can prepare yourself, or you can catch your opponent doing these things, because now that you know some of the things that people do to win these tournaments. Because again, some of these pro players, there's so many players that have won tournaments and they do cheat on accident sometimes, and sometimes it is maliciously and it is on purpose. And remember, kids, don't throw chairs at your opponent, because that is part of the rules. But anyways, hopefully this helped you guys out. If it did and you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys give that like button a titty slap. But thanks for watching, guys, and I am signing out.